The Great Hall of Nexus Prime had never seen anything like this. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the massive chamber. Their voices echoed off crystal walls that reached up into darkness. Some delegates floated in glowing bubbles. Others sat on surfaces that bent space around them. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime. Chancellor Zephyk stood at the center podium. His blue skin gleamed under the artificial suns hanging above. As leader of the hegemony, he controlled 40 star systems and commanded respect. Today, however, even he seemed small. "The Eldest has requested to speak," Zephyk announced. His voice carried across the chamber through quantum speakers. For the first time in 3,000 years. Whispers spread through the crowd like ripples on water. The Eldest was older than most civilizations. It had seen empires rise and fall. It had watched stars being born and dying. Some said it remembered when the galaxy was young. The chamber fell silent. The lights dimmed. Then it appeared. The Eldest did not walk or fly into the room. It simply became present. Its form shifted constantly. Sometimes it looked like living crystal. Other times it seemed made of pure energy. When it spoke, the words bypassed all translation devices. They formed directly in the minds of every being present. "Council members," the Eldest said. Its voice was like distant thunder. "I come with a warning." Zephyk bowed his head slightly. Even the most powerful leaders showed respect to the Eldest. "We listen, Ancient One." "A new species has emerged," the Eldest continued. "They call themselves humans. They live on a blue world orbiting a yellow star. They have just developed faster than light travel." Several delegates exchanged confused looks. Ambassador Nexus of the Trade Federation leaned forward. Her tentacles twitched with curiosity. "Eldest, why do you concern yourself with such primitives?" The Eldest's form solidified into something resembling a towering mountain of living diamond. "Because they must not be provoked." Laughter rippled through parts of the chamber. General Vexar of the hegemony military stood up. His red scales caught the light as he gestured dismissively. "Ancient One, with respect, these mammals barely have fusion drives. Our scouts report they still fight wars on their own planet. What threat could they possibly pose?" "You do not understand," the Eldest replied. Its voice grew deeper. The temperature in the chamber dropped several degrees. "I have witnessed the rise and fall of 10,000 civilizations. I have seen species that could move stars and others that bent time itself. But humanity is different." "Different how?" asked Director Keth of the Science Collective. Her multiple eyes focused on the shifting form before them. "They are the children of entropy itself," the Eldest said. "Their world tried to kill them from the moment they drew breath. Ice ages, volcanic explosions, asteroid strikes. Diseases that should have wiped them out completely. Each time they survived. Each time they grew stronger. Many species face harsh worlds," Zephyk pointed out. "The hegemony itself was forged in the fires of adversity." "Not like this," the Eldest insisted. "Other species adapt to their environment. Humans force their environment to adapt to them. They do not accept impossibility. When told something cannot be done, they find a way to do it anyway." General Vexar activated a holographic display. Earth appeared in the center of the chamber, spinning slowly. Data scrolled alongside it, showing technological assessments and population figures. "Look at their technology," Vexar said. "Chemical rockets. Nuclear weapons from 70 years ago. They are centuries behind our most primitive member species. Their entire planet could be conquered by a single hegemony cruiser." The Eldest turned its attention to the general. For a moment, the air around Vexar shimmered with invisible energy. The general stepped back involuntarily. "You speak of conquest," the Eldest said. "Have you learned nothing from the Devourer Wars? Have you forgotten the Singularity Crisis? Do you not remember the silence that fell across Andromeda? Those were different circumstances," Zephyk said carefully. "Ancient enemies with technology we barely understood." "And humans will be worse," the Eldest declared. "The Devourers consumed everything in their path, but they were predictable. The Singularity entities bent reality, but they followed patterns. Humans follow no patterns. They improvise. They adapt. They refuse to surrender even when defeat is certain." Ambassador Nexus's tentacles curled in skepticism. "Surely you exaggerate, Eldest." "No species is that dangerous." The Eldest's form began to fade at the edges. "I have watched them for only a short time in galactic terms. In that span, they have gone from striking rocks together to splitting atoms. They have eliminated diseases that plagued them for millennia. They have begun to leave their world and reach for the stars. Impressive progress, admitted Director Keth, but hardly unique. They do not simply progress, the Eldest explained. They accelerate. Each advancement leads to faster advancement. Each problem they solve teaches them to solve bigger problems. Right now, as we speak, they are taking their first steps beyond their solar system. The holographic display changed to show recent sensor readings from the edge of human space. A small vessel appeared, crude by galactic standards but functional. Their first interstellar ship, General Vexar scoffed. It looks like they bolted an engine to a metal box. Because they built it to work, not to look impressive, the Eldest said. Form follows function. They care nothing for beauty or elegance in their tools, only effectiveness. Even so, Zephyr said, one ship does not make them a threat to the Galactic Order. The Eldest's voice dropped to barely a whisper, but somehow every being in the chamber heard it clearly. I have seen what happens when cornered prey becomes the hunter. I have watched peaceful species turn into unstoppable forces when pushed too far. But humans were never peaceful. They are apex predators who learn to cooperate. They are pack hunters with nuclear weapons and spacecraft. You suggest we should fear them? Asked Director Keth. I suggest you should respect them, the Eldest replied. Better yet, befriend them. They are loyal to their allies and terrible to their enemies. They have a concept they call proportional response. If you take one of their people, they will take 10 of yours. If you destroy one of their ships, they will destroy your entire fleet. General Vexar laughed harshly. With what? They have no fleet to speak of. They will build one, the Eldest said with absolute certainty, faster than you think possible, and it will be unlike anything you have ever faced. How can you be so certain? Zephyr asked. The Eldest's form solidified one final time, taking the shape of something almost human-like, but far taller and more angular. Because I have seen their history. They fought a war that killed 50 million of their own kind, then united to prevent it from happening again. They split the atom, realized its terrible power, and spent decades learning not to destroy themselves with it. They reached their moon not because it was easy, but because they decided it must be done. The chamber fell completely silent. The Eldest's next words seemed to echo from the walls themselves. Most species develop space travel to escape their problems. Humans developed it to solve them. They do not see obstacles. They see engineering challenges. They do not accept defeat. They change the rules until they win. What exactly are you asking us to do? Zephyr inquired. Do not provoke them, the Eldest repeated. Do not attack their ships. Do not threaten their people. Do not give them a reason to see you as an enemy, because if you do, you will discover that there are fates worse than extinction. And if we encounter them peacefully? Asked Ambassador Nexus. For the first time, something like warmth entered the Eldest's voice. Then you may find that humans make excellent friends. They are capable of great kindness to those who show them respect. But cross them at your peril. The ancient entity began to fade. I have given you my warning. What you do with it is your choice. But remember this day. Remember that you were told, Wait, called Director Keth. What makes you so certain they will become dangerous? The Eldest paused in its departure. Because they already are. They simply do not know it yet. When they discover their potential, the galaxy will tremble. Pray they discover it as friends, not as enemies. With those words, the Eldest vanished completely. Only the faint scent of ozone remained, and a deep chill that seemed to settle into the bones of every delegate present. General Vexar was the first to break the silence. Superstitious nonsense. These humans are primitives. They pose no threat. But even as he spoke, something in his voice suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as the others. Chancellor Zephyr looked around the chamber at the hundreds of representatives. Some seemed thoughtful. Others appeared dismissive. A few looked genuinely concerned. The council will consider the Eldest's words, he announced formally. This session is adjourned. As the delegates filed out, many continued to discuss what they had heard. Some dismissed it as the rambling of an ancient mind. Others wondered if there might be truth in the warning. None of them noticed the small sensor readings coming from the edge of known space. Human ships were already moving, exploring, reaching out into the darkness. And with each passing day, they were learning more about the galaxy they were about to enter. The Eldest's warning hung in the air like a prophecy waiting to unfold. 3 months had passed since the Eldest's warning echoed through the halls of Nexus Prime. Most delegates had returned to their worlds and forgotten the ancient entity's words. The galaxy continued its endless dance of trade, politics, and territorial disputes. General Vexar stood on the bridge of the hegemony battlecruiser Dominion's Edge. Through the massive view screen, he watched his patrol fleet maintain formation near the edge of human space. 6 warships, each capable of reducing a planet to rubble, drifted in perfect military precision. "General," called Commander Thex from the sensor station, "we're detecting an approaching vessel. It's transmitting some kind of signal." Vexar moved to the tactical display. A small blip appeared on the screen, moving slowly toward their position. "Classification: unknown design, sir. The hull composition is primitive, steel and ceramic composites, but the drive signature is interesting. It's definitely faster than light capable." "Human?" Vexar asked, though he already knew the answer. "Yes, sir. The signal is coming from them. It's in multiple languages, including Standard Galactic." The general's lips curled into something resembling a smile. After months of patrolling empty space, something interesting was finally happening. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and resolved into the image of a human female. She appeared to be middle-aged by their standards, with short brown hair and intelligent brown eyes. Her uniform was simple but clean. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Endeavor," she said. Her voice was calm and professional. "We are on a peaceful exploration mission. We come in friendship and hope to establish diplomatic contact with your civilization." Vexar studied the human with interest. She looked fragile, like most carbon-based life forms. Her ship was laughably primitive compared to hegemony technology. The Eldest's warning seemed like ancient paranoia. "Commander Thex," Vexar said quietly, "scan their vessel. I want to know everything about it." "Sir, they're still transmitting," Thex reported. "We offer greetings from Earth and the human species," Captain Chen continued. "We seek peaceful relations and mutual understanding. If you can understand this message, please respond. We would be honored to meet you." Vexar walked closer to the screen. The human waited patiently, occasionally checking instruments behind her. Her bridge was cramped and functional. Everything looked makeshift, like they had built their ship from spare parts. "General," whispered Commander Thex, "our scans show their shields are primitive energy barriers. Their weapons are basic plasma cannons. This ship couldn't damage a scout vessel, let alone a battlecruiser." "Perfect," Vexar muttered. An idea was forming in his mind. The council had spent months debating the Eldest's warning about humans. Some members were actually considering offering these primitives protection. It was embarrassing. But what if the humans proved to be just another weak species? What if their first contact showed the galaxy that the Eldest was wrong? Vexar could demonstrate hegemony superiority and put an end to the ridiculous fear surrounding these mammals. "Sir?" Vex looked confused. "Should we respond to their message?" Vexar thought about the Eldest's words. "Do not provoke them. Do not attack their ships. Do not threaten their people." Ancient nonsense from a being that had lost touch with reality. "Open a channel," Vexar ordered. The screen split to show both Captain Chen and the hegemony bridge. The human's face lit up with hope and excitement. "Greetings," she said quickly. "I'm Captain Chen, thank you for responding. This is a historic moment for both our species." "I am General Vexar of the hegemony," he replied coldly. "You are trespassing in our space." Captain Chen's expression became more cautious, but she maintained her diplomatic tone. "We apologize if we've entered your territory. We're still learning about galactic boundaries. We would be happy to withdraw if needed." "Too late for that," Vexar said. He gestured to his tactical officer. "You have contaminated this sector with your primitive technology. Your ship must be destroyed to prevent the spread of inferior designs." The human captain's eyes widened. "General, please." "We pose no threat. We're explorers, not soldiers. Surely we can find a peaceful solution." "There is no solution," Vexar declared. "Weak species have no place in this galaxy. Consider this a lesson for any humans who follow." "General, wait," Captain Chen said urgently. "Let me speak to your superiors. There's been a misunderstanding." But Vexar had already cut the communication. He turned to his weapons officer. "Target their engines and life support. Make it slow." "Sir," Commander Thex said hesitantly. The Council's orders were to observe and report, not to engage. "The Council will thank me for ending this threat before it begins," Vexar replied. "Fire!" The hegemony fleet opened fire simultaneously. Brilliant energy beams lanced out across space, striking the small human vessel. The Endeavor's shields flared and collapsed within seconds. Hull breaches appeared along its length as atmosphere vented into space. On the tactical display, Vexar watched the human ship struggle to maintain power. It was listing badly, its engines dead. Life support readings showed multiple failures. Impressive, he said sarcastically. They lasted almost 30 seconds. But even as he spoke, the human vessel managed to transmit one final message. Captain Chen appeared on screen again, her bridge filled with smoke and sparking electronics. Blood ran down her forehead from a head wound. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Endeavor," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We came in peace. We offered friendship. We asked for nothing but the chance to learn about the galaxy and share what we know." Behind her, Vexar could see crew members working desperately to repair damaged systems. Some were injured. All of them looked determined rather than defeated. "You have shown us what you truly are," Captain Chen continued. "We will not forget this lesson. Neither will Earth. Neither will humanity." She looked directly into the camera, and for a moment Vexar felt something cold settle in his chest. There was no fear in her eyes, only resolve. "This is Captain Chen, final log entry. We came as friends and were answered with violence. Remember this day. Remember what we offered and what you chose instead." The transmission cut as the Endeavor finally broke apart. Debris scattered across the void, glowing briefly before going dark. "Well," Vexar said, settling back into his command chair, "that's the end of humanity's grand space adventure." But Commander Thex was staring at his sensor readings. "Sir, there's something strange." "What now?" "The human ship's final transmission. It wasn't just recorded for their own records. It was broadcast on multiple frequencies simultaneously. The signal propagated through their quantum communications network." Vexar frowned. So it reached their home system within hours, sir. That message has been seen by every human on Earth." For the first time, doubt crept into Vexar's mind. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they'll know what happened here. They'll know we fired first. They'll know we destroyed a peaceful exploration vessel." The general dismissed his concerns with a wave. "What can they do about it? They have no fleet, no weapons capable of threatening us. It will take them years to mount any kind of response." Unknown to Vexar at that very moment, the message was being played in emergency sessions of the United Nations. World leaders watched Captain Chen's final transmission in stunned silence. The footage of the Endeavor's destruction was broadcast on every network, shown in every city, discussed in every language. The reaction was swift and unanimous. Humanity had reached out in friendship and been answered with unprovoked violence. The message was clear. The galaxy was hostile. Earth was on its own. Within hours, President Maria Santos stood before a joint session of the United Nations. Her words were broadcast to every corner of Earth and to the growing colonies on Mars and the Moon. "Today we lost the Endeavor and her crew," she announced. "They died doing what humans have always done. They explored. They reached out. They sought to build bridges rather than walls." She paused, looking directly into the cameras. "The aliens who destroyed our ship have shown us what they think of peaceful intentions. They have demonstrated that they see kindness as weakness. They have made their choice. Now we make ours." The President's next words would be remembered for centuries. "Effective immediately, I am authorizing the Terran Defense Protocol. Every orbital shipyard will be converted to military production. Every research facility will focus on defensive technologies. Every resource will be directed toward ensuring that what happened to the Endeavor never happens again." She stood straighter, her voice growing stronger. "We offered them our hand in friendship. They answered with violence. They want to see what humanity is capable of when threatened. They are about to find out." Back in space, General Vexar was filing his mission report. He described the encounter as a successful demonstration of hegemony superiority. He recommended that any future human vessels be destroyed on sight. He never mentioned the Eldest's warning. He dismissed the look in Captain Chen's eyes. He ignored the way her final words seemed to echo in his mind. By the time his report reached Hegemony Command, it was already too late. The seeds of war had been planted. The humans had been provoked, and somewhere in the deep reaches of space the Eldest sensed what had happened. For the first time in millennia, the AncientEntity felt something resembling sadness. "Fools," it whispered to the 6 months after the destruction of the Endeavor. General Vexar received a message that made his blood run cold. 3 hegemony border worlds had gone silent. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply gone. No distress calls, no debris fields, no survivors. Just empty space where thriving colonies used to be. Show me the sensor logs again, Vexar demanded, staring at the tactical display aboard his flagship. Commander Thex manipulated the holographic controls. Here's the Zarian system, sir. Population 12 million. Industrial center with 3 orbital stations. The display showed a busy star system full of ships and structures. This recording is from 6 days ago. The image shifted to a more recent timestamp. The system was completely empty. Not even asteroid debris remained where the planets had been. And here's the same system yesterday, Thex continued. Nothing. It's like everything just vanished. Vexar felt his stomach twist. What about the patrol fleets? Surely someone saw something. That's the problem, sir. The patrol fleets are gone too. 12 ships, all with full crews. No wreckage, no escape pods, no trace. The general moved to another display showing strategic maps of hegemony space. Red zones marked the areas that had gone silent. They formed a rough line pointing directly toward the core worlds. Sir, reported Lieutenant Kex from the communications station, we're receiving a priority transmission from Hegemony Command. Put it through. The face of Supreme Commander Zarek appeared on the main screen. The elderly Hegemony leader looked haggard, his usually perfect uniform wrinkled. General Vexar, report your status immediately. All ships operational, sir. We're investigating the disappeared colonies. Forget the colonies, Zarek snapped. We have bigger problems. Admiral Korath's entire battle group was wiped out this morning. Vexar felt the bridge go silent around him. Admiral Korath commanded the Hegemony's most powerful fleet. 50 capital ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. Wiped out by whom, sir? Humans. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Vexar's throat went dry. Sir, that's impossible. Humans don't have a fleet. We destroyed their only ship 6 months ago. Apparently we were wrong, Zarek replied grimly. I'm transmitting the last recording from Korath's flagship. A new window opened on the screen. It showed the bridge of a Hegemony dreadnought in chaos. Alarms were blaring and the crew was shouting over each other. Admiral Korath's voice came through clearly. All ships, engage the human vessels. Repeat, engage human vessels. The camera view switched to an external shot. Vexar gasped at what he saw. Surrounding the Hegemony fleet were ships unlike anything in galactic databases. They were dark, angular things that seemed to absorb light. No smooth curves or elegant designs. These vessels looked like flying weapons platforms. By the stars, whispered Commander Thex. Those ships are massive. Each human vessel was easily twice the size of a Hegemony dreadnought. They moved with impossible grace for something so large, sliding through space like sharks through water. The human ships opened fire. But these weren't the simple plasma weapons the galaxy was used to. Beams of pure energy tore through Hegemony shields like they weren't there. Some kind of projectile weapon fired streams of metal that punched holes clean through starship hulls. How are they doing that? Vexar demanded. Our shield should stop any conventional weapon. On the recording, Admiral Korath was shouting orders, but it was clear the battle was already lost. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, covering each other's flanks and focusing fire on specific targets. Within minutes, half the Hegemony fleet was dead or dying. Then something impossible happened. One of the human ships simply vanished. It didn't cloak or move away. It ceased to exist in normal space. A second later, it reappeared directly behind a Hegemony cruiser and fired at point-blank range. They're teleporting, breathed Lieutenant Kex. That's impossible. No, Vexar said slowly, remembering something from his military academy days. It's not teleporting. They're using microjump drives, folding space for short distances. But sir, that technology is theoretical. No one has ever made it work. The humans have. The recording continued. The human ships weren't just winning. They were learning. Each time the Hegemony fleet tried a new tactic, the humans adapted within minutes. When the Hegemony ships tried to retreat, the humans predicted their escape routes and cut them off. The last image showed Admiral Korath's dreadnought breaking apart under concentrated fire. The transmission cut to static. Supreme Commander Zarek's face reappeared. That entire engagement lasted 12 minutes, General. 12 minutes to destroy the most powerful fleet in Hegemony space. Vexar stared at the blank screen where the recording had been. Sir, how is this possible? 6 months ago, they had one primitive ship. Our intelligence suggests they've been building constantly since you destroyed the Endeavor, Zarek explained. Every shipyard in their system was converted to military production. They've been working around the clock, but building ships takes years even with advanced technology. Not for humans, apparently. They've developed new construction methods, automated factories, self-replicating assembly systems. They're producing warships faster than we thought possible. Commander Thex leaned forward. Sir, what about their technology? Those weapons, those drives, where did they get them? Zarek's expression grew darker. They developed them, all of it. In 6 months, they've advanced their technology by centuries. Every time they encounter one of our systems, they study it, improve it, and integrate it into their own designs. How many ships do they have? Vexar asked, though he dreaded the answer. Unknown. Intelligence estimates suggest at least 200 capital ships, with more being completed daily. But General, Zarek paused, that's not the worst part. There's worse. They're not just building ships. They're improving them with each design iteration. The vessels that destroyed Koreth's fleet were more advanced than the ones spotted last month. They're innovating in real time. Vexar felt cold fear settling in his chest. What are our orders, sir? The Hegemony Council is calling for a full military response. We're mobilizing every available fleet. To attack Earth. Earth is too well defended now. They've turned their entire system into a fortress. Orbital defense platforms, minefields, weapons that our sensors can't even identify. We're going to try to stop their expansion into our territory. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of Vextar's ship in stunned silence. The general stared out at the stars, remembering the Eldest's warning. Do not provoke them. Do not attack their ships. Do not threaten their people. Sir, Lieutenant Keck said quietly. Incoming transmission from an unknown source. Human? Yes, sir. It's on all frequencies. They want to talk. Vextar almost laughed. Put it through. The screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a military uniform. She was older than Captain Chen had been, with gray hair and hard eyes. Behind her, Vexar could see a bridge that made hegemony technology look primitive. I am Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Terran Defense Force, she said. Her voice was calm but carried an edge of steel. I am speaking to all hegemony forces currently in what you call the border regions. Vexar studied her face. There was no hatred there, no anger, just cold determination. 6 months ago, you destroyed a peaceful exploration vessel, Admiral Vasquez continued. The crew of the Endeavor came in friendship. They offered cooperation and mutual understanding. You answered with violence. She leaned forward slightly. We have learned from your example. You showed us what strength means in this galaxy. You taught us that kindness is seen as weakness. You demonstrated that the only language you understand is force. Behind her, Vexar could see other humans working at stations that hummed with energy. Everything looked functional, efficient, deadly. We are not like you, the Admiral said. We do not seek conquest for its own sake. We do not desire your worlds or your resources, but we will not allow you to threaten us again. The camera pulled back to show more of the human bridge. It was larger than any ship Vexar had ever seen. Effective immediately. All hegemony forces will withdraw from the following sectors. A star map appeared on the screen, showing a significant portion of space. Any hegemony vessel found in these areas will be destroyed without warning. This is ridiculous, Vexar muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. We have given you the same consideration you gave the Endeavor, Admiral Vasquez continued. We are informing you of our intentions. What you do with this information is your choice. She stood up, and Vexar realized she was taller than he had expected. Humans were larger than most species gave them credit for. But understand this, the Admiral said. We remember Captain Chen. We remember her crew. We remember every word of their final transmission. They died because you chose violence over peace. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. The transmission ended, leaving the hegemony bridge in darkness. Commander Thex broke the silence. Sir, what are your orders? Vexar stared at the empty screen. The Eldest's words echoed in his mind. They are the children of entropy itself. They do not accept impossibility. When told something cannot be done, they find a way to do it anyway. Set course for the nearest hegemony base, he said finally. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in recorded history. Representatives from over 300 species filled the Great Hall of Nexus Prime. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime, carrying angry voices in dozens of languages. Chancellor Zephyk stood at the central podium, his blue skin pale with stress. Around him, holographic displays showed the devastating losses suffered by the hegemony. Entire fleets wiped out, star systems evacuated, trade routes severed. The human threat has grown beyond all projections, Zephyk announced. In 8 months, they have gone from a single primitive vessel to a fleet that rivals our combined forces. Ambassador Nexus of the Trade Federation waved her tentacles frantically. Our shipping lanes are paralyzed. Human ships appear without warning, scan our vessels and vanish. They're mapping our entire infrastructure. General Korash of the Stellar Alliance stood up. His forearms gestured at tactical displays showing human ship movements. They're not just mapping. They're studying us. Every engagement reveals new adaptations in their technology. Adaptations? Asked Director Keth of the Science Collective. They learn from every battle, Korash explained grimly. Their shields adapt to our weapons. Their tactics evolve to counter our strategies. It's like fighting an enemy that becomes stronger with each encounter. A new voice cut through the discussions. Perhaps you should have listened to the Eldest. Every head turned to see a small gray-skinned being rise from the rear of the chamber. It was Elder Moth of the Archive Worlds, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Moth speaks truly, said another ancient delegate. The Eldest warned us not to provoke the humans. We chose not to listen, Zephyk's expression hardened. The Eldest spoke in riddles and mysticism. We needed practical solutions. And your practical solution was to attack their first diplomatic vessel? Moth asked pointedly. That was General Vexar acting without authorization, Zephyk protested. Was it? Moth challenged. Or was it the inevitable result of dismissing ancient wisdom as superstition? The chamber erupted in arguments. Some delegates supported the Chancellor. Others demanded accountability. In the chaos, no one noticed the arrival of a new figure until it spoke. Arguing will not save you now. The Eldest had returned. Its crystalline form towered over the assembled delegates, shifting between states of matter as it observed the panic-stricken council. Ancient One, Zephyk said, his voice carefully controlled. We seek your guidance. Do you? The Eldest asked. Or do you seek absolution for ignoring my warning? Silence fell over the chamber. The ancient entity moved closer to the central podium, its form crackling with energy. I told you not to provoke them, the Eldest continued. I explained what humans are capable of when threatened. You dismissed my words. We underestimated them, Admiral Thrace of the Defense Coalition admitted, but surely the situation can still be contained. The Eldest's form solidified into something resembling a massive crystal tree. Contained? Do you understand what you have awakened? Holographic displays around the chamber updated with new intelligence reports. Human fleet movements, technological assessments, casualty reports from the front lines. Look at their progression, the Eldest said. The displays showed the timeline of human development since the destruction of the Endeavor. In 8 months, they have advanced their technology by centuries. They have built a fleet from nothing. They have turned their entire star system into an impregnable fortress. Director Keth studied the data with her multiple eyes. How is such rapid advancement possible? Because they do not accept limitations, the Eldest explained. Other species develop technology gradually, building on established principles. Humans tear down barriers that others consider absolute. Give us an example, demanded General Korash. The Eldest gestured, and new displays appeared showing human ship designs. Their vessels use technologies that you consider impossible. Micro-jump drives that fold space-time, weapons that manipulate fundamental forces, shields that exist partially outside normal reality. Those technologies are theoretical, protested Chief Scientist Varn of the Research Collective. Theoretical to you, the Eldest corrected.
Humans do not respect the difference between theoretical and practical.
They simply make things work. Chancellor Zephyk leaned forward. What do they want? Surely we can negotiate. The Eldest's form darkened. They want to ensure that what happened to the Endeavor never happens again. They want to protect themselves and any species too weak to defend themselves. Protect other species? Ambassador Nexus seemed confused. Why would they care about aliens? Because that is what humans do, the Eldest explained. They form packs. They protect the weak. They fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. You have not just made an enemy of humanity. You have made an enemy of their moral code. General Korash activated new tactical displays. Ancient One, we have assembled the largest military coalition in galactic history. 12 species have contributed fleets. Over 50,000 ships are converging on the Sol system as we speak. The Eldest was silent for a long moment. When it spoke, its voice carried a weight that seemed to press down on every being in the chamber. 50,000 ships, it repeated slowly, against a species that has been preparing for war for 8 months. A species that learns from every encounter and adapts to every threat. Surely our combined might is sufficient, protested Admiral Thrace. Your combined might, the Eldest said, represents the old way of thinking. Overwhelming force, superior numbers, traditional tactics. The ancient entity's form began to shift more rapidly, cycling through different shapes as if reflecting internal turmoil. Humans invented a concept during their primitive wars, the Eldest continued. They called it asymmetric warfare. It means using unconventional methods to defeat superior forces. Primitive concepts, scoffed General Karash. Our weapons and ships are far superior to anything humans can field. Are they? The Eldest asked. Your reports show that human vessels consistently outperform your projections. Their weapons penetrate your shields. Their defenses stop your attacks. How can primitives achieve such results? Director Keth accessed new data streams. According to our intelligence, human ships use a combination of technologies, some familiar, some completely unknown. Unknown to you, the Eldest clarified. Humans have a different approach to technology. They combine disciplines that other species keep separate. They innovate by breaking rules that others consider sacred. On the main display, a new report appeared from the Coalition fleet approaching Sol. Admiral Thrace read it aloud. Long-range sensors detect massive orbital structures around Earth. The entire system appears to be defended by... This can't be right. What does it say? Zephyk demanded. Thousands of defense platforms. Weapons emplacements that dwarf our largest ships. Energy readings that exceed theoretical maximums. The Eldest's form brightened. They have turned their home system into the ultimate fortress. Not just to protect themselves, but to demonstrate their capabilities. A demonstration? Asked Ambassador Nexus. They are showing you what happens when humans have time to prepare, the Eldest explained. 8 months of constant work. An entire species united in purpose. Every resource directed toward a single goal. General Karash studied the tactical data. Even so, 50,000 ships should be able to overwhelm any defenses. Should be, the Eldest agreed. But humans specialize in proving that should be and will be are different things. As if summoned by the conversation, new alerts began sounding throughout the chamber. Communications officers rushed to their stations. What's happening? Zephyk called out. Incoming transmission from the Coalition fleet, reported the chief communications officer. They're requesting immediate reinforcements. Already? Admiral Thrace looked shocked. They only reached the system an hour ago. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of Admiral Korvex's flagship. The Coalition commander looked haggard, his uniform torn and scorched. Council, we need immediate support, Korvex said urgently. The humans. They're not what we expected. Report your status, Admiral, Zephyk ordered. We dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system and immediately came under attack. Not from ships, from the asteroids themselves. The view switched to external cameras showing the Coalition fleet. Vexar watched in horror as rocks the size of buildings flew through space with impossible precision, striking ships with devastating force. They've weaponized the asteroid belt, Korvex continued, turned every rock into a guided missile. We've lost 30 ships in the first 10 minutes. 30 ships to asteroids? General Karash couldn't hide his disbelief. These aren't normal asteroids. They're moving under their own power. They're equipped with shields and weapons. It's like fighting a swarm of armed planets. The Eldest spoke softly, but its words carried clearly through the chamber. Humans excel at using unconventional weapons. They see potential in everything. On screen, Admiral Korvex was shouting orders to his crew. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Try to reach the inner system. But as the Coalition fleet advanced, new threats emerged. Space itself seemed to twist around certain regions, creating gravity wells that trapped ships. Energy fields appeared from nowhere, disrupting electronics and communications. The war was over in 3 days, not because the fighting stopped, but because there was no one left to fight. The great coalition of 50,000 ships had been reduced to scattered survivors fleeing into deep space. Hegemony worlds surrendered without firing a shot. Trade Federation vessels broadcast white flags on all frequencies. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, humanity's first dreadnought. Through the massive viewscreen, she could see the orbital defenses of Nexus Prime, the supposedly neutral station that housed the Galactic Council. The station's weapons were powered down, its shields dropped in surrender. "Admiral," reported Captain Martinez from the tactical station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Council. They're requesting permission to negotiate surrender terms." Vasquez studied the ancient station. It had stood for 10,000 years as a symbol of galactic cooperation. Now it cowered before ships that hadn't existed a year ago. "Tell them we'll send a representative," she said. "Prep Shuttle Bay 3. You're going personally?" asked Commander Park, her first officer. "Someone needs to explain what happens next," Vasquez replied. "It might as well be me." The shuttle bay of the Retribution could hold 24 fighter craft. Today it held only one small diplomatic vessel. As Vasquez boarded, she reflected on how much had changed since Captain Chen's final transmission. The journey to Nexus Prime took 20 minutes. As her shuttle approached the docking bay, Vasquez could see alien ships fleeing in all directions. The Great Gathering was breaking up as species rushed to return to their homeworlds. The docking bay was nearly empty when she arrived. A small delegation of council members waited nervously by the airlock. Chancellor Zephyk looked like he had aged years in the past few days. "Admiral Vasquez," he said, attempting dignity despite his obvious fear. "Thank you for coming, Chancellor." Vasquez's voice was neutral, professional. "Where would you like to talk?" "The council chamber, if you're willing." They walked through corridors that had once bustled with diplomatic activity. Now they were mostly empty. The few aliens they encountered pressed themselves against the walls as the human admiral passed. The great chamber of the council was vast and echoing. Only a dozen delegates remained. The rest had fled as soon as news of the coalition's defeat reached them. Vasquez took her position at the center of the chamber. Around her, the surviving council members arranged themselves in a rough circle. Their body language spoke of defeat and desperate hope. "You wanted to discuss terms," she said simply. Chancellor Zephyk stepped forward. "Admiral, we wish to formally surrender to human forces. We ask only for mercy for our civilian populations." Vasquez considered this. "Surrender implies that we were at war. We weren't. You attacked us. We defended ourselves. Then, what do you want from us?" The Admiral activated a holographic projector. Star maps filled the air around them, showing the current positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. "We want to ensure this never happens again," she said. "We want to create a galaxy where peaceful exploration vessels aren't destroyed without warning." Ambassador Nexus' tentacles curled nervously. "What does that mean, practically?" "It means the galaxy operates under new rules," Vasquez explained. "Human rules." She gestured, and the star map changed to show territorial boundaries. Large sections of space were now marked in blue. These are protected zones. Any species that threatens another within these areas will answer to us. General Karash, one of the few military leaders who remained, studied the map with growing alarm. "Admiral, you're claiming jurisdiction over half the galaxy." "Not claiming, establishing." Vasquez's voice remained calm. "We have the fleet positions to enforce it." Director Keth leaned forward with her multiple eyes focused on the human. "This is unprecedented. No single species has ever controlled so much territory. No single species has ever needed to," Vasquez replied. "But you've proven that the galaxy can't police itself. Someone needs to keep the peace." The chamber fell silent except for the hum of the holographic projectors. Finally, Chancellor Zephyk spoke up. "What about our existing governments? Our trade agreements? Our territorial claims? Existing governments that didn't participate in the attack on humanity will be left alone," Vasquez said. "Trade will continue under human oversight. Territorial disputes will be settled by human mediators. And if we refuse?" asked Ambassador Nexus. Vasquez didn't respond with words. Instead, she activated another display showing human fleet positions. Massive ships hung in space near every major trade route and populated system. "We're not tyrants," she said finally. "We don't want to rule over other species. We just want to ensure that strength isn't used to prey on weakness." Elder Moth of the Archive World spoke for the first time. "Admiral, your species has achieved in months what others take centuries to accomplish." "How?" Vasquez smiled slightly. Because we had no choice. You taught us that the galaxy respects only force, so we became the strongest force in the galaxy. But how? Moth pressed. The technological advances, the ship construction, the strategic coordination, it defies all precedent. Does it? Vasquez asked. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When survival is at stake, we become very inventive. She activated new displays showing human shipyards and research facilities. Every human world became a factory. Every human mind focused on a single goal. We didn't just build ships. We revolutionized how ships are built. The displays showed automated construction bays that could assemble a cruiser in days rather than months. Research facilities where teams worked around the clock to solve technological problems. Orbital platforms that manufactured components in zero gravity. We also learned from every encounter, Vasquez continued. Every ship you destroyed, every weapon you used, every tactic you employed, we studied it all and improved our responses. General Karash looked at the technological readouts with professional interest. These manufacturing techniques, they shouldn't be possible. Shouldn't according to whom? Vasquez asked. We don't accept impossible. We find ways to make things work. A new voice cut through the discussion. Ancient and familiar, it resonated directly in the minds of everyone present. I warned them, the Eldest said as it materialized in the chamber. I told them not to provoke humanity. The council members turned to face the AncientEntity. Its crystalline form seemed dimmer than before, as if the events of recent months had drained some essential energy. Eldest, Chancellor Zephyk said desperately, surely you can reason with them. Help us find a peaceful solution. The Eldest moved closer to Admiral Vasquez. For a moment the two faced each other. Ancient wisdom and human determination. There is no reasoning to be done, the Eldest said. Humanity has already offered you peace. They are not conquering your worlds or enslaving your people. They are simply ensuring that the strong cannot prey upon the weak. By becoming the strongest predator of all, protested General Karash. No, the Eldest corrected. By becoming the protector. There is a difference. The AncientEntity turned to address the entire chamber. For eons, this galaxy has operated on the principle that might makes right. The strong took what they wanted from the weak. Peaceful species lived in fear while aggressive ones expanded their territory. The Eldest's form brightened slightly. Humans have changed that equation. They have made themselves so powerful that no one can challenge them. But unlike previous dominant species, they use that power to protect rather than exploit. Admiral Vasquez nodded. We remember what it was like to be the weak ones. We remember reaching out in friendship and being answered with violence. We won't let that happen to others. Director Keth studied the human admiral with scientific curiosity. What happens now? How long will humanity maintain this guardianship? As long as necessary, Vasquez replied. Until the galaxy learns to police itself. Until species choose cooperation over conquest. And if that never happens, asked Elder Moth. Vasquez was quiet for a moment. Then we'll keep doing what we've always done. We'll adapt. We'll endure. We'll protect those who need protection. The Eldest's form began to fade. The galaxy has entered a new age. The Pax Humana begins today. Wait, called Chancellor Zephyk. What about the Council? What about galactic governance? The Eldest paused in its departure. The Council failed to prevent this war. It failed to protect the weak. It failed to maintain peace. The AncientEntity's voice carried finality. Humanity will do better. With those words, the Eldest vanished completely. Admiral Vasquez looked around the chamber at the assembled delegates. You have a choice, she said. Accept the new order and live in peace, or resist and face the consequences. We accept, Chancellor Zephyk said quickly. We formally recognize human authority in galactic affairs. Good. Vasquez deactivated the holographic displays. Human representatives will be assigned to each major government. They'll help with the transition to the new system. As she turned to leave, Ambassador Nexus called out, Admiral, what about forgiveness? Can humanity ever forgive what was done to the Endeavor? Vasquez stopped but didn't turn around. Captain Chen and her crew died because they offered friendship to strangers. We'll never forget that, but we won't let it make us cruel. She faced the delegates one final time. The Endeavor was destroyed because you saw kindness as weakness.